He wasn't supposed to make it. Not from where he came from, not at his size, not in a league that chews up players twice his frame and twice his privilege. But somehow a kid from Rankin Inlet, Nunavut, a town so remote you could only fly there, made it all the way to the NHL. The first Inuk player in league history, a wrecking ball at 5'9", and one of the toughest, most respected players of his generation. Jordin Tootoo's story isn't just about goals or fights, it's about what it takes to come from nothing, from isolation, tragedy, and pain, and still find a way to inspire millions. So how did a kid from the Arctic with no road out of town become one of hockey's most impactful figures? To find out, we have to rewind to where it all began, in a small northern town on the edge of Hudson Bay. Jordin Tootoo was born in Churchill, Manitoba, and raised in Rankin Inlet, a small community on the northwest coast of Hudson Bay. No highways, no fast food, just wind, snow, and a frozen sheet of ice that doubled as a playground. Out there, kids didn't dream of NHL contracts. They dreamed of staying warm long enough to finish a game. Tootoo's dad, Barney, built him makeshift sticks and taught him how to skate on outdoor ponds under the northern lights. His mom, Rose, made sure he and his brother Terrence never forgot their roots, their language, their traditions, their identity as Inuit. By the time he was 10, Jordin was already obsessed. He'd wake up before sunrise, strap on skates that barely fit, and wait outside the local rink for the caretaker to unlock the doors. Minus 40 wind? Didn't matter. And when he wasn't playing hockey, he was out on the land, learning to hunt, fish, and track with his dad. Those lessons in patience, toughness, and resilience would one day carry him through the hardest years of his life. Even back then, you could feel it. This wasn't just another kid who loved the game. He was a fighter in every sense of the word, and he'd need every bit of that fight to make it out of Rankin Inlet and into the NHL. Entering his teenage years, the reality of Jordin's dream became clear. If he wanted to play in the NHL, he couldn't stay in Nunavut. There was no junior hockey teams, no scouts flying up to watch games, no path forward unless he left everything behind. So at just 14 years old, Jordin made the hardest decision of his young life. He left home. He moved south to pursue hockey, bouncing between teams and billets, learning to survive in a world that felt alien compared to the tight-knit Arctic community he grew up in. The loneliness was crushing, but quitting wasn't an option. In 1999, he landed with the Brandon Wheat Kings of the Western Hockey League, and that's where everything changed. Under the cold floodlights of Brandon's Keystone Center, Jordin Tootoo's hockey career really took off. He wasn't just fast or skilled, he was relentless. Coaches loved his work ethic, opponents feared his physicality, and fans, well, they fell in love with the 5'9" firecracker who refused to back down from anyone. By 2001-02, his breakout season, Tootoo had become a phenomenon. He put up 74 points in 51 games while racking up 216 penalty minutes, a rare combination of offensive firepower and bone-crushing toughness. He won the hardest shot competition at the WHL's Top Prospects game with a blistering 96.1 mile-per-hour clapper. He also notched 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks, badge of honor for any enforcer. The people of Brandon embraced him. They called him Toots. They hung his posters in stores. And when NHL scouts started showing up to watch him play, word began to spread beyond the prairies and back up to the Arctic. In Rankin Inlet, in Iqaluit, across Nunavut, Inuit families gathered around radios and TVs tracking every game, every goal, every fight. This skinny kid from their own backyard was doing something no one like him had ever done before. On June 23, 2001, at age 18, Jordin Tootoo's name was called at the NHL draft. The Nashville Predators selected him 98th overall in the 4th round, making him the first Inuk player ever drafted by an NHL team. All across the North, celebrations erupted. He was Canada's pride and joy among Indigenous fans, a symbol that even kids from the smallest northern hamlets can make it to the big leagues. Jordin himself was surprised by the attention. When I came to Brandon in 1999, I didn't think of myself as an Indigenous role model. I was just a hockey player that would fight with everything I had to make the NHL, he told reporters. Behind the cheers of his community, however, one of the most touching chapters of Jordin's story was written. The bond between Jordin and his older brother Terrence was intense. Terrence Tootoo was a hockey phenom in his own right. He starred in junior hockey and even began a pro career in the ECHL with the Roanoke Express. On the ice, he was Jordin's hero and mentor. Off of it, they were inseparable. In August 2002, tragedy struck, and the course of Jordin's life changed forever. At age 22, Terrence took his own life following an arrest for drunk driving. In one of the most devastating moments of his young life, Jordin lost not only a brother, but a best friend, and the person who had believed in him first. He's the reason I'm here, Jordin has said in interviews about Terrence. The loss hit Jordin with full force, coming just months after his own hockey breakthrough. Now, as Jordin prepared to make his professional debut, his brother was gone. In subsequent years, Jordin carried Terrence's memory into every arena. When he retired in 2018, he shared one of Terrence's last instructions. His final words to me were, "Jor, go all the way. Take care of the family. You are the man," he said tearfully. "I can only hope that I lived up to your expectations, bro." Those words, raw and simple, show the debt Jordin feels to his brother's faith. Tootoo turned his grief into fuel. On the ice he fought harder. Off the ice he promised to carry Terrence's legacy forward. In Rankin Inlet and many Indigenous communities, the brother's story resonated deeply. In 2017, years after Terrence's passing, Rankin Inlet honored him by renaming its annual Avatak Cup tournament the Terrence Tootoo Memorial Cup. It was a tribute fitting for two Inuit youths who had given so much to sport. For Jordin, Terrence's death left a permanent mark. It was the reason he later founded Team Tootoo, and why suicide prevention became his mission. In the fall of 2003, under the roar of the crowd at Nashville's Gaylord Entertainment Center, Jordin Tootoo took the ice for his first NHL game. "The city of Nashville basically raised me until I was 28 years old," he later reflected on his tenure there. His rookie season saw 70 games with the Predators, scoring 4 goals and 4 assists, but mostly it was his energy, forechecking, and willingness to drop the gloves that fans and coaches loved. Ice hockey analysts quickly labeled him as an enforcer, a fighter protector of skilled players. Tootoo's style was absurdly physical. If a Predator star got hit, number 22, or 55, was often first in line to shed his mitts. Over time, he collected a career 1,010 penalty minutes in 723 NHL games, including a Nashville franchise record 725 in just 486 games. Every time he lumbered towards an opponent, Preds fans cheered. They called him the Tootoo Train, yet it was more than fighting. He was quick on his skates, an expert forechecker, and could score timely goals. Teammates described Nashville's dressing room as a big family. General Manager David Poyle and Coach Barry Trotz ingrained toughness and accountability. In that environment, Tootoo thrived. He became one of the most popular players on the team, a role model for young tough guys who played hockey their way. "It's always a learning process. You mature as the years go by," he said of Nashville. He learned not just to fight, but how to channel his aggression. He even scored his first NHL goal in his debut season, October 23, 2003 versus Atlanta, ripping a puck past Thrasher's Tendi, Pasi Nurminen. Through 5 winters in Nashville, 2003 to 2012, Tootoo became a unit. He played some of his best hockey there, culminating in a career-high 30 points in 2008-09. But he also battled adversities. The league tightened rules, his style drew penalties, and he occasionally missed games because of suspensions, a part of the job. One notorious incident came in 2007, when Tootoo delivered a punch that knocked Dallas's Stefan Robidas unconscious. He was suspended 5 games. He accepted it as a consequence of his game, while critics accused him of dirty play. These highs and lows tested him, but Nashville stood by his side. As he said at retirement, "Nashville was a city that embraced me and really made me solidify my spot as an NHLer." The NHL is a business, and after Nashville, Tootoo's path took him on the road again. In 2012, he signed a 3-year contract with the Detroit Red Wings, a divisional rival and one of hockey's storied franchises. He brought toughness to Detroit, fitting into a gritty lineup of veterans. He scored against his old team, the Predators, on February 19, 2013, moments as sweet as any in Nashville. But Detroit was demanding, and after 2 seasons, Tootoo was placed on waivers in 2014, leading to a buyout. It was a humbling chapter. He went from starter to trying out for teams. Not giving up, Tootoo worked out, stayed ready, and in 2014 joined the New Jersey Devils on a tryout. His hard work paid off. He signed a contract and became a key part of the Devils for 2 seasons. He even logged double-digit goals, 10 goals in 2014-15. His physical presence reminded fans of former Devils enforcers. Finally, in 2016, Tootoo signed a 1-year deal with defending champion Chicago. Wearing the Blackhawks uniform, he added veteran depth and toughness. He played 50 games in 2016-17, but injuries began to take a toll. He missed games to a lingering upper body injury and was placed on long-term injured reserve. At age 34, he realized the end was near. The Blackhawks extended his contract once more for 2017-18, but he never suited up again. waived late that year as he focused on healing. Through it all, Tootoo's numbers tell his story in raw terms. 65 NHL goals, 96 assists, and 1,010 penalty minutes in 723 games. Again, he even holds the Nashville record for career penalties in minutes. But those stats only hint at a career defined by heart. No one called Tootoo the flashiest player. His reputation was tough as nails. Opponents both respected and feared that relentlessness. One rival, Blue Jackets forward Derek Dorsett, once fumed after Tootoo ended a fight by sucker punching the much larger Dorsett, calling it a cheap shot. Fans and teammates knew Jordan's fights weren't cheap, maybe sometimes, but they were how he protected his brothers on the ice. By the time he hung up his skates, Tootoo had become one of the NHL's most beloved unsung heroes. In a 2019 interview, he humbly said, "As a kid, I never envisioned my career being this long. And again, I didn't envision myself being a role model for the Indigenous communities." His career had become much more than he ever dreamed. Being an enforcer in the NHL is grueling work. The physical toll on Jordin Tootoo's body was outrageous. As you probably understand by now, he routinely faced opponents a lot bigger than himself, took hits from behind, and ate stray pucks. Along with broken bones and bruises, he suffered concussions, an often under-discussed price. Each time he went down on the ice from a hit or a fight, the fear that this might be the one was real. Yet he got back up each time. The cumulative effect was clear. By the last seasons of his career, even the Chicago medical staff warned he might not play again. Bringing it full circle, other than injuries, Jordin fought another war, addiction. Alcoholism had affected his family deeply, contributing to his brother's death. Jordin himself battled with drinking, a struggle that followed him into the NHL. In 2010, at age 27, he decided to seek help, voluntarily entering the NHLPA Substance Abuse and Behavioral Health Program. That was one of the hardest things I had to do, he would later admit, but it was a turning point. After rehab, he returned to the Nashville locker room a changed man. "I've been sober for almost 8 years, he proudly told one interviewer. He spoke of changing the cycle for my family and taking life one step at a time. Going sober didn't magically solve every problem, but it cleared his vision. His journey through recovery was not easy. Tootoo said it took years before he could even articulate the weight he was carrying. "I grew up in a home where there was a lot of silence. To carry that weight, I found that really hard," he explained about talking through trauma. Only after about 2 years of sobriety did he finally feel ready to share his story. A turning point was finding the land. Each individual has their own journey. For me, as an Indigenous person, it was the land where I've always felt whole, comfortable, and content, he said at a community event. He spent time on the tundra, seal hunting, and connecting with nature, something his Inuit elders had done for generations. In the wilderness, he found calm to reflect, to grieve Terrence again, and to forgive himself. Gradually, through struggle, Tootoo became a different kind of warrior. His wife and young daughters became anchors of his new life. "My wife and my children have been the best gift that's ever been given to me. I couldn't be more proud to wake up every day with a clear mind," he said on the radio. His teammates noticed a softer Jordin emerging. Still tough in play, but gentler off it. And fans saw him change too. No more late-night drinking controversies, only a player giving heartfelt post-game interviews about overcoming adversity. Through it all, Tootoo never forgot his brother. If anything, the loss of Terrence drove him even more to survive and succeed. The emotional pain of the past made him resilient. When he finally announced his retirement in 2018, he noted he left the game at peace with myself, with the love of my family, his eyes shining. "I owe my life to this game," he said in a choked-up voice. It was the echo of that childhood dream on Arctic ice fulfilled. He had gone all the way. Jordin Tootoo's legacy reaches far beyond stats or goals. It's deeply cultural. In Rankin Inlet, Nunavut's capital Iqaluit, and small Indigenous communities coast to coast, Jordin's name became synonymous with possibility. School assemblies welcomed him. Hockey camps were named after him. One journalist noted his journey as an epic Canadian story of an Indigenous Inuk boy in a remote Arctic community beating the odds. Inuit leaders praised his humility. Member of Parliament Hunter Tootoo, his cousin, publicly commended Jordin for showing that even when life throws challenges at us, we can address them. Every time he played a game, he represented not just himself, but thousands of children watching back home in the north. The cultural insight goes deeper. Jordin spoke openly about identity. As we mentioned, Eagle Feather News reported him saying, "I've always allowed myself to reconnect with the land. It was the land where I've always felt whole." In practice, this meant he carried Inuit traditions into his routine. Before games, he would sometimes go outside the rink and howl, a ritual borrowed from his Arctic upbringing to channel energy. He often wore moccasins or mother of pearl under his skates. He proudly promoted Inuit art and music to fans. And he shared language, teaching Inuktitut words to both journalists and strangers. Outside of the rink, he took every chance to shine a light on Indigenous culture. He visited northern schools, telling kids, it doesn't matter where you come from, anything is possible. The sky's the limit, encouraging them in their cultural heritage. He attended powwows and dance ceremonies whenever possible. Wherever he went, Tootoo emphasized that he was proud to be Inuit, proud to have grown up in Rankin Inlet. In every interview after retiring, Tootoo highlighted cultural solidarity. Windspeaker Radio reported him saying, suicide and addiction are a national epidemic, more prevalent in our First Nation Aboriginal peoples, and that Indigenous communities can relate to my story because of shared experiences. That resonance made him more than just a hockey player, but a spokesperson, an Inuk voice on national radio talking about Arctic life and healing. Yet even before he stopped playing, Jordin Tootoo's focus had turned to giving back. In 2011, struggling with personal tragedy and addiction, he founded the Team Tootoo Fund, an initiative dedicated to suicide prevention and youth at risk in Indigenous communities. The idea was personal. In Terrence's memory, he wanted to save lives. Having dealt with mental illness and suicide himself, he said, he has been a positive voice for individuals struggling with these afflictions, often speaking out and sharing his story. The NHL took notice. In 2015, the New Jersey Devils nominated Tootoo for the NHL Foundation Player Award, and he used the $25,000 grant to kickstart his foundation. Team Tootoo's work began in his hometown. In 2012, during the shortened NHL lockout season, Jordin flew home to Rankin Inlet to host the first ever Team Tootoo hockey camp for local kids. It's going to be a really positive atmosphere. Learn hockey skills, but you're also going to learn life skills and teamwork, he told a local reporter about the camp. For many children, this was life-changing, to skate with the NHL star who had chased a puck in their very own village. Media at the time highlighted how Tootoo prioritized fun and community above all, a sign he knew what mattered most to the youth of Nunavut. From there, Team Tootoo camps spread across Canada. In 2019, he toured Indigenous communities in every province, traveling with hope to put on camps and talk openly about suicide and mental health. The quote became a catchphrase. It's been a great experience getting out into these really remote communities, he told CJWE-FM. There, he met frightened teens and nervous parents, but he also saw the power of dialogue. Just being able to talk. That's a key, he told kids, echoing wisdom he'd discovered through healing. Whenever he stepped into a gymnasium or band hall, he let people cry or share tragedies without judgment. His own story was on full display. He talked about going to rehab, about waking up sober, about morning walks on the ice to clear his head. His message was simple and heartfelt. There's lots of people who believe in you. You matter. Children of mixed heritage who faced bullying saw an Inuk star standing by them. Veterans of the land who hadn't skated in decades saw an advocate for land-based healing. Tootoo often told reporters, as men, we don't need solutions or answers, we just want to be heard. He made it clear that the hockey camp wasn't necessarily about drills, but about building self-esteem and community bonds. Through these efforts, many observers tracked a measurable impact. Suicide rates are hard to change, but local coordinators credited Team Tootoo camps with giving youth another reason to be grateful. Anecdotes trickled in. A troubled teenager who walked off the ice crying with hope. A young girl inspired to become a goalie. A teacher saying they saw increased smiles and confidence in their class. Social media buzzed when Tootoo would post photos of himself with smiling Inuit children or hugging chiefs. Every endorsement by an Indigenous leader was another sign he was making a difference. By the time he retired, Jordin Tootoo's list of achievements was unique. On the ice, 723 NHL games, an Olympic appearance, 2003 World Junior silver medal with Canada, and the hearts of fans. Off the ice, best-selling books, All the Way, My Life on the Ice in 2015, and Mind Over Matter, Hard-Won Battles on the Road to Hope in 2023, telling his story, and speeches nationwide. In 2017, Canada formally recognized his contributions. He was awarded the Meritorious Service Medal for his promotion of healthy living and encouraging conversations about difficult topics like addiction. In his own words on social media, very honored and humbled to receive the Meritorious Service Medal from David Johnston. These honors are measured by the change he ignited. In 2018, at his formal retirement press conference in Brandon, he summed up a career of service. I know I will always remain close to my native roots. and will continue to work to enhance life for Native children who are suffering, create awareness around mental health, and support suicide prevention. Those final lines were a mission statement. His influence rippled outward. NHL teams now make sure every new player from Northern Canada and beyond understands Tootoo's legacy. The Nashville Predators, the team that took a chance on the young Inuk, held a Jordin Tootoo night in 2019 at Bridgestone Arena, inviting him back to drop the puck and speak to fans. In Ottawa, he was invited to Rideau Hall to accept the Meritorious Service Medal from the Governor-General. Across Canada, his story is taught in schools. Inuit communities tell it by campfire. Hockey clubs in Manitoba and Saskatchewan encourage kids to play like Tootoo, meaning with heart and humility. Indigenous youth, who once had no one to look up to in the NHL, now see themselves reflected in his legacy. Tootoo often says he is just one of many, perhaps the first of many more Indigenous athletes to achieve the highest levels, he told a radio reporter. But for now, he is a torchbearer. His teams remember him too. Preds general manager David Poile said Tootoo's legacy is perseverance and determination on and off the ice. Devils fans recall him leading chants and banging a drum in the locker room after big wins. The final chapter of Jordin Tootoo's story isn't written yet. He may have retired from professional hockey, but his influence is just beginning. As a motivational speaker, author, and community leader, he continues to travel from First Nations reserves to urban schools, sharing lessons of resilience, goal setting, and overcoming adversity. When asked what he hopes people remember about him, he often smiles. I just want people to know that you matter. It doesn't matter where you come from or what color your skin is. As one Pasqua First Nation leader put it, Tootoo's journey shows that even when life throws challenges at you, there's a way through. In every interview and speech, Jordin's voice carries a humble urgency. His long road through pain and triumph has given him empathy. He urges men and women alike to break the cycle of silence. He dedicates his life to providing spaces where Indigenous people can be okay with not being okay, as he said. He no longer fights on the ice, but he fights stigma and isolation, reminding people that strength comes from sharing, not suffering alone. Looking back, what stands out is a picture of an Inuit kid turned warrior, a young boy from Rankin Inlet who taught himself to skate on outdoor ponds, who faced prejudice and heartbreak, who fought giants on the ice, and then fought giants in life, alcoholism, and grief. At the end of it, he stands not only as a hockey player, but as one of the greatest underdog stories in hockey history. His story is cinematic and viral-worthy. Tiny town kid makes NHL, loses his brother, battles demons, wins a medal, and gives back more than he takes. This is the story of Jordin Tootoo, the Inuit warrior who showed the entire hockey world the heart of the North. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear the story of another player who defied every expectation, except this one couldn't stop lighting the lamp, check out our video on Teemu Selanne, the NHL rookie who physically couldn't stop scoring. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your favorite Jordin Tootoo moment in the comments. See you in the next one.